Joining me on another Let's Talk with the Doc. I'm excited to be here as always. And I keep on saying that every week because I am so blessed and so privileged to have some wonderful people joining me week after week. And this week is no exemption, no exemption, because I have the national bishop, national overseer, whatever they call it, that the Church of God of Prophecy in Jamaica, Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, and I can't wait to talk to him. So when I come back, my friend, I will be talking to the bishop. ORB Ministry presents Let's Talk with the Doc. Grace Without Borders podcast. A thought for you. Ask Pastor. And a whole lot more. You never know what's next or who will join the conversation. All right, here we are. Bishop Dr. Winston Leith is with me. Good to have you, my friend. Good evening to you, and welcome to Let's Talk with the Doc.
Good evening, Bishop. Good evening, Doc. It's good to be
Hey,
here with you.
I just say good evening, Bishop. Good evening, Doc. I can remember that you never called me anything but Orville. It's I always say Orville, Orville, Orville all the time. So we have to make the transition now into different things because Winston Orville. We started off. Nobody had no clue who was going to become bishop or no minister, no whatever. This is just how we grew up. But welcome to Let's Talk with the Dog. Good to have you, my friend.
Good to be here with you, my brother.
How was your day today?
Well, it was a very long and tedious day. A lot of phone calls and have a couple of meetings, but it has been a very good day, a very productive day.
The business as usual, right?
Oh, yes. Church work is hard work, you know.
And another day at the office for you, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Mm.
All right. So my friends, I am happy to have my brother with me tonight. He's my friend from generations ago, I must say. And I know a lot of people don't know, and you're gonna find out how far we're coming back from some of the things that we knew from childhood days, coming up as young men, young Christians. Now you see me now, when you think, hey, you see the bishop, and you say, hey, we're coming from way back when, before anybody even think about becoming anything like pastor. We just like young Christian men, love the Lord, and just keep on going about our business. So Bishop, tell me a little bit about your own story. Tell me where you. I never find ask you where you were born in the beginning, or what your days were like, your siblings. Tell me a little bit about your early beginnings.
Well, the truth is that I'm originally from Portland. I was born in the best parish in Jamaica, Portland, Drapers to be exact. Um,
I didn't know that.
Walking distance from to the Sansan Beach, the most famous beach in Jamaica. Well, I came to Stony Hill in 1972.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I've been visiting with one of my aunts there for a couple of years on summer holidays, and in 1972, I asked my mother to make the transition to live with her, and so 1972 was the time when I came to Stony Hill.
Okay.
And the church that I got saved in was right, just a wall separate the home and the church.
That that's a Stony Hill Church, right? That's where you got
Stony
saved.
Hill to be exact, yes.
Yeah, I remember that quite well. I remember when you the young man got saved up in Stony. Like, well, I know when you got saved, but I know when I come to Stony, there was Winston Leith, this young, brilliant Christian up in Stony Hill, and so before we get to the Christian part, tell me about the story, your siblings, what the environment was like where you're born and your transition, the difference between your best parish to the next best parish.
Well, I have two brothers and three sisters, and all are alive. We
Okay.
grew up as a tightly knit unit with father and mother. And so we had a very strong bond. My brothers and I had a very strong bond. In those days, I mean, you didn't have a lot. So while, your mother and your father is in their quarters, the girls would be in another room. So, we have to bunk it on the floor as boys. So we grew up very, very
Rough
strong.
it out, rough
A
it out,
lot
right?
of respect for each other. Yeah.
Wow, wow. So you fall where you fall among the
I'm
siblings.
the I'm the first of all, man.
Oh, you're the first of
Oh
them.
yes, oh
Okay,
yes, I'm the
okay.
first of all.
What was the relationship like between you and your siblings, being the big brother? What was it like in terms of respect, in terms of resistance? What was it like?
Up to this day, my brothers and sisters have the greatest respect and admiration for me, and they always talk about their big brother, their big brother, their big brother. Yeah, so that was given. A matter of fact, in those days, my mother was a domestic helper, and sometimes for 2 days per week, I would have to stay home while they go to school and stay with the smaller ones who are not able
Mm.
are ready for school as yet.
Hmm.
So the great admiration was there. I never couldn't beat, but they love and respect me because of how I love and care for them.
So you never be there. I never be there just because of
No,
compassion.
no,
Because
no,
what?
no, no, no. That didn't come in their thought because we grew up respecting each other.
Okay.
Honestly, we grew up respecting each other.
All right. All right. All right. Okay. So now you at this age you wanted to. Okay. What triggered the desire to stay with your aunt in St. Nigeria as opposed to in Portland? What inspired or motivated that?
I think I wanted a better life for myself and to help my mother. I saw the struggle. My father was a farmer and a gardener. The struggle was there, and from that very age, because I had was to stay home at least 2 days per week, most week with them. I wanted a better life. So coming to Stony Hill in the summer to spend time with my aunts, I see an opportunity,
But you were
to
you were
get
you
a
were just a
better
kid.
education, to get a better life, and that was triggered the move. And my mother, when I said to her, she says, "No problem," and yes, and I'm happy that I made that move.
But you were very young at that time to think about that kind of responsibility.
Yeah, yeah, I was just 12 years of age.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, just 12 years of age when I started to live in Stony Hill.
But you're so rational, so mature in your mind that you're thinking way ahead of yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And the truth is, God bless Bishop Carlton Walters, he had operated a supermarket.
Tell me about
And
CJs, man. We know CJs, right?
oh, yes. And then I would go to school in the days, and in the evening after school, I would go to the supermarket and help out in the evenings and Saturday, you know.
Wow.
So that was where I get the little, we call it savings. And truth be told, that on the weekend, normally buy a few stuff and send it over on the market truck. My mother would meet the truck in Port Antonio and collect that box. So, the move was strategic. I didn't
Wow.
even know what I was doing, but I think the move was strategic.
That is incredible. My
Yeah.
friends, I want to apologize for the glitch in my video moving. So if you can listen to the audio and take your eye off my personal video, there's a glitch going on. So don't get
Okay.
distracted by it. Not you, I'm telling the listeners, you'll be fine. Just listen, but we're hearing each other loud and clear and the audio is going, which matters most. All right. So again, I'm talking to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, National Bishop, National Overseer of Jamaica. I am just excited to have my friend because we're just tracking back how far we're coming from. And many people who see him there in Jamaica National Overseer, I am in New York and no communication, no contact, nobody even know how tightly we grew up as young Christians. And now we're just reflecting on the old story of growing up. At 12 years old, he was that concerned about and I remember that truck thing. That's fascinating to send back stuff and the truck and your mother meet the truck and get the thing. That is just amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, so tell me after you come to St. Andrew, where did your life go as a young man? Where did you go other than going to school, your little job? Tell me the progression of your life.
Well, I spent maybe about 2 years at the Stony Hill College School and then transitioned to the Oberlin Extension, Oberlin High Extension. They had an extension for students who didn't make it mainstream, like they didn't do common entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So the extension was to help, and I did a few subjects there before they actually closed that the extension. So that's where I got part of my secondary education. But after that, it was straight work until I started BTI, LDI, and
Mm-hmm.
then on to Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. So basically, it was just work, work, work.
I remember how active you were and how important you were to Pastor Gardner up in Stony Hill. Give me a little reflection on your early Christian life as you progress as a young man. I know you were you know back then they used to call people like somebody's right hand. I know you eventually came like Pastor Gardner's right hand up in Stony Hill. Tell me a little bit about the responsibilities there as a young Christian and how you grew and the investment in you. Give me a little bit of insight into that.
Well, the truth is, Pastor Gardner is the only pastor I had.
Right.
She was the only pastor I had. And from 12 years of age until when I was appointed to pastor the church in Bowden Hill in 1992, I was at Stony Hill. And Orville, there's no department in the church that I did not work. A matter of fact, my first appointment was to be an usher, and I did that with pride and joy. On the weekends, a group of us would take pleasure in cleaning church on a Saturday evening, you know. And then after that, as I began to grow in the Lord, I became a Sunday school teacher. Didn't even know what I was doing, but Pastor Gardner saw something, Sunday school teacher. Then I became a part of the youth, or we call it Victory Leaders Band then.
Mm-hmm.
So you become a part of the Victory Leaders Band. Desmond Reed was our youth director at the time, and he had a keen eye for young people like us, and he pulled me under his wing, and we worked together, we shared together. I became Sunday school superintendent after
Wow.
a few years. I became youth director. I was the church treasurer.
Wow.
I was, we call it ABM then, Assembly Band
Yeah,
Movement for
yeah,
the
yeah,
band.
yeah, yeah.
And it continues, you know. A matter of fact, at some point in time in those days, as you know, the women ministry, we used to have women's ministry on a Monday. And
WMB,
I was
the
the
good old
only
WMB man.
youngster,
Yeah,
the only male at church. That's what I used to call me, the bodyguard.
that's what they call us, the bodyguard. I remember
Yeah.
that too. Listen, man, listen. When we tell people that how far we come from and we climb the ladder at every step of it, the only thing that I said to people, the only thing I never been a part of was the WMB. But yes, we were still there as bodyguards, and even to collect offering, they still want us to collect offering. So
Oh,
we
yes.
were part of everything growing up, every single thing. I'm listening to you, and you come like I'm talking, like I'm talking to, and I'm hearing myself, my own
Yeah.
story as I grow up.
But remember that we had was to close the church, close the windows as the brothers.
Right?
Close the windows, close the church, ensure that everything is okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, and that's
Yep.
why we were there on the Monday evening for the women. Well, that is true. WMB. I say women's ministry. It was
Yeah,
WMB.
WMB, man, Women's Ministry Band. That
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Oh my God, I'm talking to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, my brother, my friend. We grew up as young Christians together. That's all we know. We loved the Lord, and we didn't know where our lives would go. We didn't have no clue where our lives would go. That we would this day I would be talking to him as the national overseer, the national bishop of Jamaica, and I am in New York as a bishop. It's just like we never see this coming, but thank
yeah.
God for our faithfulness over
Amen.
all those years, and until today we are still serving. Until today we are
Yes,
still serving. God
yes.
bless you, man. God bless you.
Bless you too,
um
sir.
so tell me about the unfolding now, because you grew up now to be a young man. When did you decide what you want to become? When you say, this is what I want to become if life affords me.
Well, honestly, I didn't even know what I wanted to be. I just wanted to serve. I really wanted to serve. I was serving. I enjoy serving. Um, I stood with Pastor Gardner. I remember at 17 years of age, she was going to the General Assembly, and we had ministers and deacons there, and she left me in charge of the church. Can you imagine? At
Wow.
17 years of age.
Wow.
I don't know what Pastor Gardner saw in me. She saw something that I didn't see, and she helped me to find myself, you know. And so I really thank God for her insight, and the opportunity that she gave to me as a youngster. And that is what really solidified my relationship with the Lord, because of the responsibility that I had in church at such a tender age. Mark you, there was a gap of 3 years that you get involved with companies that you had no this you didn't want to, but I mean influence. But I felt out of place, and I reconnect immediately after the 1980 election, and I there's no looking back after that. No looking back after that.
I remember. So tell me about that gap. What happened there.
That gap was at a period when you live in a community where you're sandwiched by the rival parties. And in that era, the two groups above us and below us would invade the communities. So those of us who go in the days, in the nights, we were asked to keep watch.
Mm,
And it
wow.
was a very tedious, difficult task. You have to go to work the next day, but at the same time, you have to be out keeping the beat. And the beat means that you're going to encounter gunmen, or you're going to encounter police and soldiers patrolling. And honestly, one night I had an encounter with a rat patrol. You know what we call a rat patrol? And it was when I ran from them, and the Lord shielded me
Wow.
from being caught. I mean, man, it was something else. And that night I says, Lord, if you take me out of this, if you
Wow.
spare my life from this, I'm going to serve you. I'm not going to look back from where I'm coming from. And that was a turning point for me. That was a turning point.
1980. I
1980.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that part of your story. I had no clue about that. I know 1980 was the worst experience we could have had in Jamaica when it comes to politics. I don't think anybody who lived through that period can forget it. But
No,
I,
sir.
I never know you get caught in the middle. I never know you get caught in the middle up in Stony Hill.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Stony Hill was like a safe haven, and
Wow.
you believe in one party, but then you were sandwiched by two communities who believe in the same thing, and they want you to believe the same thing.
Hmm.
So it was a rough period for youngsters. The truth is that you still go church, but there was no commitment, there was no connection, and after a while, because you have to be out on the road patrolling, you lost it. But I will never forget Bishop Graham. Bishop Graham came to the conference when they're supposed to disfellowship me, and Bishop
Oh,
Graham
really?
says,
Oh, wow.
"Oh yeah, man." Bishop Graham said, "I want to speak with the youngster. I know that youngster." And nobody came to call me, but I heard everything that was said in that conference.
So,
Everything.
so hold a second, because I mean that's news to me. That's why you talk to people about their story. I mean, tell me about that part. How did your pastor deal with that, and then to get to the point and say we're gonna have to put him out of the church?
She was pressured. She was pressured because quite a number of persons knew what I was involved in. She was pressured. I revere her so much that I didn't even want to have a conversation with her. Number two, I had a caring band leader. I mean, she would come and look for me and talk with me, pray with me just the same. Sister Emily Cook. I think you should remember Sister Emily Cook. And she
Mm.
was like a mother figure. And Orville, during that time, honestly, I didn't even know myself. But I think that is the Lord who preserved me. I didn't know myself. But that night when they wanted to have it, when I heard that Bishop Graham was coming and they was going to have the business conference, a little birdie pinched me and said that they were really out tonight. So because I live next door to the church, I
Right.
climb on top of that half-finished extension of the church. And I lay there on my belly and I listened the business conference from start to finish. I knew who moved the motion and who second the motion and all of that.
Wow.
And even when Bishop Graham did that, he said, still want to have a conversation with me.
Okay, so how did that go? They didn't they put the disfellowshipping on hold, and what?
No
They
man.
did
Yeah.
disfellowship you?
In those days, when you're absent from church a couple months, you're gone. Remember those days, there was no mercy.
Oh my God! So they actually did disfellowship you.
Oh yes, yes.
So how the restoration? What happened after that?
You see, as I said, that night when I had the encounter with the Rat Patrol, I says, God, so when I made my commitment then that night,
Hmm.
nobody had to invite me to church. I went and I recommit myself. I got baptized, become involved again, and begin to work like I was not absent.
So you begin to make up time like Jonah, two
Oh
days journey,
yes, man.
1 day journey. You were now in Nineveh.
Very, very busy, very active. Absolutely nothing missed me. Absolutely nothing. I was in church every night.
Because you call that a lesson learned, right?
Oh yes, oh
I
yes.
remember.
And
Go ahead.
and then, as I said, based on what could have happened and how the Lord shielded you and
Yeah.
protected you, I made that commitment. I made a vow to God that I'm not going to walk away. I'm going to serve Him until my last breath here on earth,
Mm, mm,
and
mm, mm.
that commitment still remains.
And that was 1980.
1980. 1980,
Whew.
immediately after the 80 election, which was in the October, I think it was sometime in November, it happened. I recommitted myself to the Lord.
God bless you, man. God
Yeah,
bless you,
man.
man. God bless you, man. There's a plan and a purpose for your life, and it's working out itself even today. I,
Definitely.
I, I say time and again, when we look back at our lives, that's when we can put the pieces together and say, boy, had it not been that God been on my side. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, National Overseer or National Bishop for the Church of God of Prophet in Jamaica. I'm excited to have my friend. I am so excited. And though you're watching us tonight, it's a good time to hit your share button. If you haven't hit your share button yet, it's a good time. Everybody now watching can hit your share button, no matter what media you're watching by. Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, you can hit your share button. Invite some friends to join us because I'm talking to the National Overseer of Jamaica. I'm excited about that. All right. Okay. So, my friend, all right. So now you step back in and you settle down. You make the Lord a promise. And how did that? What was the reaction? What was the reaction of the church when you came back? What was the reaction? Because some people said some people gonna trust you and some don't trust you. What was the reaction?
No, it was totally different. It was like people. say that they were praying. I don't know if they were praying, but I take it that they were praying. The mothers of the church, Mother Witter, Mother Mitchell.
I remember Mother Wita. My
Oh,
God, I remember Mother Wita just
oh
said that. Oh
yes,
Lord of
yes, yes.
mercy.
Those are the persons that now I really begin to look to for guidance and for strength and for courage. And I remember that most Sunday afternoon she would invite me by her home in the square there, and she would, talk with me and encourage me. And man, I tell you, these things really helped me because they were genuine. They were really genuine. And it really helped me because honestly, at some point in time, you want to, as a young man, you have your desires and know you're in church and all of that. But the Lord had a plan that I didn't even know of. And so in 1982, I met the love of my life. And in 1983, I wasted no time. I got married to her. So basically, we are together for over 40 odd years now.
So
So,
you were tender young because you were tender young.
oh yes, pretty young.
I guess it seemed like we married about the same kind of age too.
22.
Yeah, I married 22 plus. I married 22 plus, so we did the same thing.
Well, I wasn't 22 when I get married.
You were just 20?
21 going
21.
22.
Okay, okay, all right. Well, all right. Well, I get one ahead of you, but wow. So you got married 1982.
83, 83.
83. I got married
Yeah.
1978. So I got 5 years ahead of you on that. So I'm rolling ahead of you, man. So,
Yeah, I remember you guys used to tease us, man.
I my friend, I'm talking to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith. We've journeyed as young men coming to this Christian pathway for decades and decades and decades. And we would know where our lives were going to go. And we all had our ups and downs. You just hear what I'm just hearing this from my friend. This is the first I'm hearing this. I never thought Winston had a gap. I never thought he had a gap, a struggle. I mean, this young man was so faithful up in Stony Hill, working with Pastor Gardner. I am shocked now to hear that you had that gap in your life as a young Christian to the point of them reading you out of the church. And so they just cannot read your audio and just come back right in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Didn't stay in a long time. But remember in those days, if a sister got pregnant,
Oh yeah,
no
oh yeah,
question asked
oh
her
yeah,
out.
oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
not like no, that will work with the individual and work them through their problem and understand that the act that they did was a sin in those days.
Oh yeah. There were no rationale back then.
Oh no, oh no, oh
Yeah,
no.
first of all, they stuck you. As a matter of fact, they stuck you to the back bench and push you out, and and
Definitely.
and they even what they call it? What's the word I want to use? What's the word I want to use? Oh my God, I'm trying to find a good word that fits that. But they even sabotage your parents. If your parents,
Oh yes,
if you live at your parents' house, they suffer with you as well.
yeah, man. The parents have to sit at the back bench. They
This.
couldn't testify. They couldn't take Lord's Supper.
Dear God, we coming from far.
Oh,
Oh my
those were the
God.
days.
Oh my God. Those were the days. All right. So you said some of the people were kind of welcoming when you came back.
Yeah.
Um, did anybody try to shun you from your prior responsibilities, or you just kind of walk back right into it?
No, no. It took some time. It took some time. I think Pastor Gardner was a very wise woman. She mentored me and gave me small opportunities. But those were the days when you have the C.J. Walters, National Evangelism
Yep.
Director.
Yep.
You have Charles Robinson, who was National Public Relations Director. So
Hmm.
those guys were the big guys at Stony Hill. I was like a little pleb, but I came back in and willing to learn and until I get the opportunity again.
And those are some good guys. They got some
Oh
strong
yes,
people. They got some strong people up in Stony Hill. Stony Hill was a pretty strong church,
oh
but you know
yes,
what? I look back now and I really give honor and respect to Pastor Gardner. I used to observe. I used to observe as a young man how she kept you under her wings, how she relied on you, and how you stuck with her. It's like she was almost like a mother.
Oh yes.
like a mother to you, and you just stuck there with ministry. That is just incredible, incredible. My goodness. All right. Okay. So tell me the story how you're meeting Heidi. You know, tell me how and when and where how you met Heidi.
Boy, guess what happened? That was something else because at that time I used to work with Mutual Royal Bank Jamaica.
Right.
So we met on the bus to work. I used to work in New Kingston. She used to work in New Kingston, and we used to take the same transportation. So I had eyes on her, But when I approached, I got a little sting because, in those days, these young ladies, she was she was a committed Christian. They forget the name of the church in Golden Spring there, but the United Brethren Church.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes, because she came over when we decided to get married.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, but she was at the United Brethren Church, and we met. We used to talk and get her number at work and call. At one time, my boss says that Winston, I know something is happening, because you're spending hours on the phone. I said, me, sir. I said, yeah, man, you're spending hours on the phone. So
Time going by
um,
so fast, you don't even know that you're spending long time,
I
right?
tell you, man, I tell you. So we met in 1982 on the bus going to Halfway Tree or going to Oxford Road. We come over right at Daily News
Mm-hmm.
and then walk through the park where we have Emancipation Park. No, she would go to Ministry of Tourism and I would go up the road to the bank. And the long and short of it is that, boy, I said, this young lady not going to get to, So when I
So
approach,
so before we get to the not getting away, what stimulated or triggered the interest? What created the fascination or the attraction that say, boy, there's something special here?
well, she's as beautiful as she was then, beauty.
I remember when she came over to the church, and
Oh,
I said,
yes,
oh
man.
yeah, oh wow, nice
Everybody
young
asked,
lady
where
and
you
stuff
get that
like that.
girl
Yeah.
from? Yes.
All right, so
Yes.
tell me about the resistance.
Well, she says, I'm not going to be a statistics, She put me in my
Oh wow.
place.
Oh
So
wow.
even if I had intention to play around, and it wasn't to play around either, she decided that, no, it's not going to be like that. So honestly, I told her, no, it wasn't like that. I saw something in her and I would, someday, I mean, I was what, 20 at the time, 21 at the time, going 22, no, 2020, going
Going
21.
21. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Wow.
and so we talked, and all of that. I mean,
Did you think you were brave, or you're just like taking up more than you can manage?
well, the truth about, she used to watch me on a Saturday when she come to Stony Hill. So she used to see me. So it's not the only me having eyes, she had eyes too. So yes, but I think it was a God thing. It was a setup by God because honestly, if it wasn't for her, I don't know in terms of my journey in ministry where I would be. I don't think it would have happened.
Right.
Maybe it would have happened. I don't know, but I think that the Lord had a sense of humor then, and He says, "Listen, you don't know where you're gonna go, so I'm gonna give you someone that is gonna journey with you." And so,
Listen, me man, as I said before, it's only when you look back at your life that you can see the steps that God ordered,
yes,
and how they fall in place. When in your youth, just imagine in your youth at 20 going 21, you're thinking about getting married.
oh
that
yes,
is that is unheard of in this time. People are 30s, 40s now, and they still just kind of try to think about it. and
right.
and young men like you and I, get married like the next year or a couple months after you talk to somebody about getting married. And now I'm gone 40, going into 46 years, and you're going into 40 what?
For this year is 40.
40.
Yeah.
And some people think we're stupid, but boy, didn't we do good? And and didn't we find the right people in our lives that kept us together, kept things together, kept family together, so we can do ministry and incredible journey. All
Yeah,
right. So,
but Orville, before you move on, in those days, remember, there's nothing that you call dating.
Yeah,
There
no,
was
couldn't
nothing in
that
the
was
thing.
that was an abomination.
Oh. Number one, you had to talk to your band leader about the person that you see. The band leader would be the mediator between you and the pastor. If you
Oh,
understand,
Lord
there
of
was no
mercy.
date in those days.
And there
So,
was a process, I tell
oh
you, I tell
yes,
you, I tell you, it was
and
a process. But
I respected those days because I mean it keep you from falling into some temptation and committing yourself before whatever. So honestly, I thank God for that.
yeah, we did the right thing back then. You can't tell people that now these days. You don't even know what people are doing these days. So
People are dating for 5 years with no
I
intention.
said, no, 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 no. That's not gonna be in my book. That's not gonna be in my book. I think I only did a couple of months. I was kind of so ready. I only had a couple of months. I said, listen, let's get it done over. Boom. And here we are, all these many years after that,
Oh,
by the
oh
grace of God.
yes.
All right. So she decided when did she decide to, okay, maybe you're serious, and we let's do it? Or how did she come around and
It
realize?
was maybe the summer of '82, the summer of '82, and then well, it was a bit of struggle because, as I said, she was committed to the church at Golden Spring United Brethren. But I encouraged her, and she met Pastor Gardner. Pastor Gardner was like a mother, so Pastor Gardner took her under her wing and encouraged her. And then, yes, and after that, she decided to come fully to Stony Hill. Then you know that at Stony Hill, there were the sisters there that had eyes on me, and I didn't even know. So there was some little rivalry.
I imagine, because brothers are always scarce, and
Oh
a good
yeah.
looking, progressive young man in the everybody kind of keeping an eye, because that guy could be my husband, and
Oh,
so
oh yes. Oh
wow,
yes. Yeah.
wow.
But Pastor Gardner helped her to make the transition, even though, and then she became very active in the church. After we got married, she became the church clerk, and
Mm.
I was a treasurer. So
Oh
we had
wow,
to spend time with Pastor Gardner with the books and with the
wow.
minutes for conference. So, yeah.
That's very nice. So that's
Oh
very
yeah.
nice. So you guys are holding it on two sides.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You
It was,
you're holding the finance, and she's reporting the stories.
yes, definitely.
Wow. You know what? I look at that now, and I'm thinking, fast forward 30 years plus, and you see, look at where things are now with both of you, at the level of ministry that you have climbed, and the level of support that you needed and received from her. uh, it seemed like back then was part of the shaping
Oh
process.
yes. Oh yes. Definitely. I firmly believe that. I
Wow.
firmly believe that. Yeah.
Wow.
Because after when I leave Stony Hill, I was asked to serve as pastor for Bowden Hill.
Right. Tell me about that. Tell me about
But
the progression from that, leaving the appointment to go to Bowden Hill, which was a little bit a pretty good walk away. But you were driving back then, or you had to?
yeah, well, the truth is that I serve in the parish of Kingston and St. Andrew as parish BTI booster. I serve various committees. Then I became National Youth Director in 1990 for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. And then 2 years later, I was asked to serve as pastor for the church at Bowden Hill while serving as National Youth Director.
Mm,
So I served that church, the Bowden Hill Church, for 4 years. It was a rough period for us. My family was very young. I
right.
live in Spanish Town, and I pastored the church in Bowden Hill. One of my child
That is
went
so
to
unfair, man. That is so
Lawrence
unfair.
Tavern Primary School, and the other one was going to Shortwood practicing. And and I had a full-time job caring for my family, so it was very challenging. But honestly, that journey helped me too, because some of my friends was saying that them wicked. You live a Spanish town, You are national youth director, and them ask you to pastor the church at Bowden Hill, and it was like 40 miles one way. And you know Bowden Hill,
Oh yeah.
okay? So you have to park the vehicle at a certain spot and walk up, you know. But I did that for 4 years without regret,
Wow.
honestly.
Wow.
And the Lord saw my faithfulness. And after that, I went to the Mall Road Church. I spent 7 years at Mall Road.
Come to think of it, I just said that because I'm kind of forgetting your progression on that side because I'd left Jamaica by then by
Right.
92 they sent me to the Eastern Caribbean. So
Yeah, you
so
were in
I
St. Lucia.
I went to St. Vincent and St. Lucia in
Right.
92. So then I kind of lost track
Hmm.
of what's happening in Jamaica because I never
Right.
came back to Jamaica.
Right.
I left from St. Vincent to the United States, so
Right.
so I never kind of come back and fit into the system in Jamaica. So I didn't
Right.
know how things unfold.
Right.
But yeah, I did hear that you were in you said Mall Road, right?
Yeah, man, I spent
Mall Road.
7 years at Mall Road.
I remember I heard that.
Yes. And
Wow.
then in 19, I went to Mall Road 1997 or 1996, I think. Yes, 1996. I went to Mall Road. I leave Mall Road in 2003 and went to Spanish Town, where I took over after. It's really funny because
So you
when
you you actually you actually were at Nugent Street too?
oh yeah, I look at the journey of Orville. I took over from where Bishop Ross is. Bishop Ross had died, and Bishop Daly was pastor in the church for a couple of months.
All right.
Right, so I went there. When I was sent to Nugent Street, Bishop Taylor had passed.
Right.
Yes, so I went to Nugent Street and I spent 6 years. Then after that, I was sent to the Cayman Islands. I spent 2.5 years there. Then I was appointed as National Overseer for Jamaica, Guyana, no, National Overseer for Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Guyana, and French Guyana. And that was for 2.5 years before they split, and I became overseer now for Jamaica. Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm curious to tap into the mentality and the psyche of it. My friends, I'm talking to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, my friend. A lot of your national overseer, a lot of your friend from long time. It's a good time to hit your share button and invite your friends to join us. There's something that I heard about the brother that I never knew, although we grew up together, and that one kind of stick in my mind. I never knew that. I never know about that piece of struggle there. Never knew that. Never knew that. But it just tell me that we how human we are as Christians and how we can struggle. But
Yeah.
and something that I said to my congregation just last week, because you stumble and you fall or you run into some bad spots, it doesn't mean God's call on your life has been erased.
Oh
It
no.
doesn't mean because sometimes God allow you to go through the process because every process you go through is a learning experience, and sometimes that's what helped to propel you to your calling or
Oh
to pick up
yes.
pick up for example, we look at Jonah. We look at Jonah, right? God, and I don't know, a lot of people maybe never even think about that in the text. When God sent Jonah to Nineveh, he gave him a 3 days journey. He took ship and is on his way to Tarshish. And when he got when the fish landed him back at Tyre, right where he started from, the Bible
Right.
the Bible say 1 day's journey.
One.
1 day journey was in
Yes.
Nineveh, right? So all the wasted time that he used on that ship, he had to
Right.
make it up
Right.
and still get into Nineveh on time.
On
So
time. On
on
time.
time, come on, man, because
What a
sometimes,
God. What a God. And
go ahead, man, go ahead.
and if you fast forward to Peter
Yeah.
after the denial of Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
when the Lord came back and called him, I mean, Peter was making up time for all that couple of days
Yep.
that he went
And
back
and
in,
decided to go back to fish.
yeah, to fishing,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I think sometime I remember, if my memory serves me right, I think you had preached a message. I don't know if it was at Cavaliers or it was at Parks Road. Coming back from your setback. I don't remember if you remember that. Something is sticking in my mind about that message that you preach. Um, Coming back from your setback.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Listen, listen. I preach so many sermons at so many places. That's why I don't remember some of the sermons that I preached. But but when it resonates in your heart, maybe
Yeah,
it was intended for the person that it resonates in their heart, and I'm
yeah.
gone on, and then But coming back from your setback, that's an interesting one. I should take a note of that.
Coming back from your setback.
Wow. And
Yeah.
tell me, what did that mean to you?
It was, I think it was just a couple months after, we came back. I don't remember if the crusade was really in Parks Road or in Cavaliers. Because remember, in those days, we used to walk from Stony Hill
Mm-hmm.
to Parks Road or to Cavaliers for fasting or for United Fasting or for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
crusade.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll meet up the guys in Manningsville at Manningsville, and we'll journey to Cavaliers if it's Cavaliers, and if it's Parks Road, we'll meet you guys now at Starper
Red ground, maybe.
Red Ground, right? And then we journey on to Parks Road. The Jewish buses used to run, but not very many, and I mean
Yeah.
we didn't
Yeah.
have any transportation, and we walked. Young people, a number of us walked.
My God, it was a
Oh,
joy
yes.
to meet up and walk. It was a
Oh,
joy to
yes,
do that.
yes, yes. So
Wow.
those were the days, man.
Yeah.
And in those days, we had no fear for gunmen, for people who's going to attack us because, I mean, people knew no trouble Christians.
They had respect for Christians. At least
Oh,
they had respect
yes.
for Christians, and they knew the Christians too,
Oh, yes. Oh,
because
yes.
they used to come by your church and hang around at your church and know that you were Christians at your church. So they give you a little respect. They
Oh,
know you.
yes.
They
They
know you
gave
know
you the.
vile people trying to find fight and all them kind of
No,
stuff. So
no, not
you
at
got
all.
respect.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And
It's
in those days, one of the reasons why we journeyed is because we were hunger to learn and to grow. And everywhere you go, you get something, so you become stronger, stronger.
We
You know?
love God back
Oh
then. We
yes, man.
love God.
Yeah.
Man, it wasn't no joke about it. We love salvation. We were excited about it. We want to grow. We want to get filled with the Holy Ghost. We want to get sanctified. We want to grow in grace. We want to get ready for Christ's return. That was our conversation all the
All
time.
the time.
You know, all those
But
kind of things.
but Orville, if you remember in those days, I mean, when you got saved, then I should use the past. When you got saved, if you stay too long to be filled with the Holy Spirit, you come under pressure.
Oh, intense pressure.
Intense pressure,
And
intense pressure.
people start to ask you, what wrong with your life?
Yeah, something
You
wrong
know,
with you, man. You're not saved.
what wrong with your life?
Oh
Oh
yes,
yeah, everybody,
yes,
everybody got to be internalizing. God, please,
yes,
search me, oh God. I
yes,
know my
yes,
heart. Try me. I know my thoughts.
yes.
See if there be any wicked way.
I tell you, those were the days.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm talking to my friend, Bishop Dr. Winston Leith. Bishop, National Overseer of Jamaica. I could not have imagined when we were young Christians growing up that this man would have come up to be the National Overseer of Jamaica. Who could have thought that? We couldn't see that coming. So I'm so excited to have him. Hit your share button and tell your friends that Bishop, the dark is talking to the dark. All right. I am talking to the brother, man, and my sister, one of my sisters in Jamaica, she's online, and she said, "Wow, that's a very long walk," and she don't know, she had no clue how many times, because she was baby back
Oh,
then. She had no clue how many times that we have walked from Cavaliers to Stony Hill to Manningsville to
to
Bounty
bow the hill.
Oh my God, and back and forth. How many times have we done that from Cavaliers to Parks Road to Rock Hall? I mean, we've gone everywhere on foot because there on time nobody drives.
Nobody drives, and as I
Nobody
said,
drives.
The patty pan, what we used to call
The
them.
little patty pan, yeah.
Yes, those stop running after dark.
Yeah, after a certain time, the patty pan stop run, and
Yes.
sometimes by where you are, it can't even take you up either
Oh,
because
definitely.
it's too full. You know, they just drive past you, and
Oh,
sometimes it's
yeah.
your last hope, and they drive past you. You know, you're done.
Yeah. The footmobile was the thing, man.
Footmobile, that was it, man.
Yeah.
God help us. Listen, me, man. God rewards faithfulness. God
Oh, yes,
rewards
he
faithfulness.
does.
Sometimes you get to some point in your life, in your ministry, and people sometimes want to be covetous, and they don't have no clue how you get there.
Yeah.
A clue how you get there. All right,
Yeah.
my friends, I am talking to Bishop Lee. All right, so I am curious, Bishop, to find out. Well, apparently it wasn't that difficult for you because you have climbed the ladder of success step by step. So when they ask you to become overseer for Jamaica, you have been progressing gradually, stepping up. Uh, I'm curious at at the initiation of Winston Leith being asked to become overseer for Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Guyana,
And
and French
French
Guyana.
Guyana.
Tell me what went through your mind at first when they asked you, and who did the proposing?
No, it was not. Well, I was serving as parish overseer for. No, I went to Cayman and I became the district overseer for Cayman. And at the same time, they decided that they needed a general presbyter for the Caribbean because Bishop Thompson had retired.
That is Rich Thompson now.
Bryce Thompson for
Bryce Thompson
Bahamas.
from the Bahamas. Okay.
Right. So Bishop Martin was selected because he was serving as the overseer for Jamaica, Cayman, Guyana, and French Guyana. And so in 2010, before the assembly, he was selected. So now they would need someone for Jamaica. The truth is that I was around the table with the rest of parish overseers when Bishop Martin says that all of his administrative assistant name would automatically become a part of the pool. So I wrote him a note around the table and asked him to withdraw my name from the process. And I saw when you do a thing like this with the
You tear
paper,
it up.
yes, you know. But honestly, I had no desire, absolutely no desire for the position. So even when the time came for the selection, because we met at 41, I think five of us name was in the ring, and all the pastors and ministers and bishops would cast their vote. I'm looking around the table and seeing my colleague or my colleagues that could do a better job than me. And when at the end of the day, I was told that myself and Bishop Beckford, Franklin Beckford, was the two front runners. So I said, well, it must be Becky, not me, honestly, because at that point still, I had no desire, absolutely none, to serve in this capacity. But
What was the driving force behind your lack of desire?
I wasn't aspiring. I didn't have any aspiration. No,
Okay.
I didn't have any aspiration to be, and that was the truth. I didn't see myself in that position. I remember Bishop Graham. I remember, Bishop Arthur Moss when he came. I served with him. And I would hear the oral stories of the pastors and the bishops, how they treat the national bishop. And I don't want to be a part of that. I feel comfortable in my little lane pastor in a church, so, that was it. So I had no aspiration, but I didn't know what the Lord had planned for me. So at the end of the day, I was told that, and so the two names went up to Cleveland.
Mm.
And while I was in Cayman, because I was still pastor in the church in Cayman, Bishop Martin came and said that he need to have word with me. And even then, I thought that the decision was that it was the other person. And he says that I was selected, I was chosen. I said, are you sure, sir? He said, yes. So, I honestly, didn't even know how I get the courage to say, well, I will try. I didn't even know
Wow.
what I said to him because I was stunned, honestly stunned. But the Lord saw something in me that I didn't see in myself where leadership is concerned. And the truth be told, Orville, in this position, you have to pull people around you because you alone cannot do it.
Right, right.
And I want to say from the get go, I had a team of people that pledged their commitment and their support in working with me. And to this day, some of them are still there, which I do appreciate. And honestly, if there's any success where this position is concerned, apart from say God is the one, the Holy Spirit directing, I have to attribute the success to the team of persons that I have around me, and that include my wife. Honestly, So basically, I surrounded myself with people that I was working with from. I was national youth director, national men's ministry director. I served for 2 years, and all of that. So I give God thanks.
So you cover all of the grounds coming up.
Oh, well, as I said, if they were appointing men to be women's ministry leader, maybe I would be the first.
I would have been maybe number three. So oh my goodness, I'm talking to Dr. Leith, and Bishop National Overseer. When I come back, I'm gonna give him a chance to get a sup of water, get a little drink of water or something. And when I come back, we're gonna continue the conversation because I want to hear his wife's reaction when she heard about him being the one chosen for this ginormous responsibility. So, my friends, hang in there. When I come right back, I'm going to be talking to Dr. Leith, a little bit more. Hang in there.
it was just last year in the last General Assembly that the name was changed from overseer to national bishop or state bishop, and the general overseer's title was changed to the presiding bishop. So yeah, so it was just last year in the General Assembly, International Assembly, that change occurred.
Okay, so it's a stigma. They want to remove a stigma or some
Yeah,
psychological impact or the mentality that surround that.
yeah. The
Okay,
stigma, yeah, the psychological effect that it have on the especially those in Africa.
okay, all right,
Yeah,
all right, all right. We get it, we get it. We're still not afraid of national overseer. We're not afraid of that.
I
So
know.
we not have the kind of oppression. The term don't make us feel oppressed because
No, no, not at all, not at all,
All
not
right.
at all.
So, all right. So, all right. So now, how did Minister Sister Heidi respond to when you tell her that? Guess what, honey? I am the one chosen to be national overseer. Are the,
She was with me in Cayman, for the announcement. And the truth is that my wife started the support from I was at Stony Hill. So whatever I was asked to do, I'm getting 120% support. So even the journey to go full time at Mall Road was a family decision. My two children was a part of the discussion, and they were a part of the decision, because after going to Mall Road at the time, to take over the work. My vision for Mall Road, I couldn't have an 8 to 5 job, so it was a decision taken to go full time. So she has been a part of that, the decision making and the journey. So to transition now to become the national overseer, yes, that's she gave me the support and is still giving me the support. So basically, as I said, my success in this position um, hangs heavily on her support and the team that I was able to pull around me. So basically, she's my traveling companion. There's no way that I go in Jamaica. Very rarely I go alone. She's always there with me to give that support. To give that support.
God bless you, man. I know
Yeah.
I know you might not want to say it, or I'm sure we're not gonna call any name, or you might not want to say it, but I'm still gonna ask it. Um, um, what were the responses under the cover responses or reaction? Maybe a reaction might be the a good word. How did the people around um react to, when they hear that Winston Leith is going to be the national overseer of Jamaica? Because I know they're maybe you say you weren't aspiring, but I guarantee you there were people with aspiration, whether they have the ability or no, they were aspiring. Sometimes the people who can't do it, them aspire to do it. So
I am sure that there were aspirants, maybe a few aspirants. I don't even know, honestly. And my take on the whole acceptance of me becoming national overseer, then I got a lot of support because remember that I serve as national youth director for 6 years, national men's ministry director for 2 years. I was administrative assistant to Bishop Martin for a number of years from 2004 until when the appointment was made in 2010. So I, just like a Bishop Cornwall, I was not as pronounced as Bishop
Mhm.
Cornwall, but I was all over Jamaica with the national overseer, then giving support and all of that. So I guess people saw me, heard me, and maybe that is what make it easy. And I'm telling you honestly, Orville, I'm saying this without any holding back and all of that. That I'm getting support. In everything you're gonna have people,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But to me, tremendous support from the leadership, the pastors, the ministers, the members of the church, and so I'm just running my leg of the race now. I'm sure that sometime down the road I will have to hand the baton over to somebody else. But right now I'm just enjoying what I'm doing, serving God by serving His people.
Make good of it. Make good of
Yeah,
it.
making good of it. Yeah.
My friends, you might hear the bishop call me Orville, right? You made the bishop call me Orville, and I say Winston. I don't call him Winston now, but he called me Orville. And that tells you how far we're coming from as young men from we were in our teens. We're young Christian men from we were in our teens. All we knew was each other's first name, Winston, Orville,
Orville.
and that's what we grew
Diana.
up calling each other: Winston, Orville, Diana, Heidi. Yeah, that's how we grew up as young
Yeah.
Christians,
Oh,
and that's like
yes.
decades and decades and decades ago. So the
If we
easiest
tell
thing,
them that, if we tell them says from 1973, they must say these guys don't look like they
that all right,
past 30.
yeah. From in the early 70s,
Oh,
70, 72, 73.
73.
That's
Yes.
how far we're coming from as young Christian
Oh, yes.
growing up and continue until where we are now, 2023.
Three.
My
Yeah.
friends, we're talking about 50 years of serving steadfastly. To God be the glory. All right. So
Amen.
50 years.
Amen.
And for some of us, actually 70 towards my return. Because
Yeah.
I'm from in the 60s. I'm in the 60s. So 70 towards my return. We've been around.
I tell
We've
you.
been around. So,
Yes,
but man, so were you counsel to Bishop Clayton Martin, or you were just like, what were you a supporting cast for him while he
yeah.
was overseer?
Support.
Okay,
Support.
okay,
Support.
okay.
Support.
So
Yeah.
so even part of that, you were kind of being bred
And
gradually,
I
not
used it.
knowing, unknowingly,
Not unknowing. Unknowing.
unknowingly, right?
Unknowing.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be talking to you, man. All right, so now you're in this massive role. You take on this ginormous responsibility of the Church of God of Prophecy in Jamaica. You started the Cayman Island, Guyana, and French Guyana. Um, how has that changed you, if it has in any way?
You know, you have to mature quickly in the job because now you are the person at the helm and people are looking to you for leadership. They are looking to you for guidance, decision that must be made. You have to quickly assess situations and make decisions, and decision that you make can actually um, cause problems down the road, or you will have success down the road, but you quickly have to just mature, trust God. I don't do nothing without consulting God, trusting the Holy Spirit to give me the wisdom. My wife prayed daily for God to give me wisdom
Mm-hmm.
to lead, and honestly He has been giving me the wisdom, because some decisions, you take some decisions, and when you're coming home from the office, you say, wow, it was me, it was just God, it was a God moment, that. So
Mm-hmm.
basically I had to mature, and the truth is, I tell folks that as a leader, I don't say it right all the time, I don't do it right all the time, but at the time when I'm doing it or saying it, I think it's the best. But I am always, and you know me, I'm always willing to go back and to apologize to anybody that I might have offended along the way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
keep anything in my heart against anyone or towards anyone, because I always tell myself that life is too short. And so basically, I don't keep malice or engender malice. It's either you're gonna accept my apologies and we move up forward, or I'm gonna move on, leave you. But as the position comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah, no
responsibility,
doubt about that. No doubt about that for
a
sure.
lot of responsibility, and sometimes I have to weigh things before I make decision, and I watch things right sometimes before I make decision. And but when I decide that I'm going to act, then people say I didn't know that this side of him. But honestly, sometimes because we rule from the heart, sometimes we are very lenient. Even when things are looking ugly, you're still lenient. But there comes a time when you have to make some decision, and then when you do that, then people must understand that yes, that if you know the situation or part of the situation, you know that that was long time coming. You know,
Mhm.
long time coming.
All right. Again, I'm talking to Dr. Leith, Winston, National Bishop of the Church of God of Prophecy in Jamaica. If we can reflect a little bit on it, let's kind of go back a little bit and journey up the hill again.
Hmm.
Pick up from where you started off in ministry. Um, first, second, third, fourth. When you and we're gonna come to the overseer part afterwards. So we're gonna set the overseer part aside, the national
Hmm.
overseer part aside. But in ministry coming up, what would you say? Give me give me one high moment, one low moment in ministry when you started. I'm gonna go for the pastoral aspect of it. From you start pastoral work, minus the national overseer.
Hmm.
What would you say is one of your most difficult or lowest moment in pastoral work, whether it was a challenge or a circumstance? And then what would you say is like, okay, this is a haha moment in pastoral work? I'm sure there may be many, but one that stands out so much in the mind that it kind of pop up.
One of the lowest moments for me in pastoral, I think it was at the Mall Road Church. Um, I think it was a time when I don't remember if it was a 1997 election. A young lady just got married, have two boys, um, and she was really struggling. We helped her, but her husband was brutally murdered. He and his brother mistaken
Oh,
identity,
oh wow.
and it was a low moment for me because I questioned God. I says, God, how could you allow this to happen?
Hmm.
How could you allow this to happen to this young lady with her family? And it was a moment where I couldn't understand God at all. I didn't understand, and you know, I, 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 I wanted to quit, and I shared it with someone who is known as associate pastor, and she says, "Listen, you have got to learn to trust God, trust His judgment. You think God didn't know what that was going to happen? He could have prevented that, you know." But I say, "Oh, why didn't He prevent it? Because here's two boys without a father. Here's a
Hmm.
young woman without a husband, and he was a breadwinner for the family. She didn't work, you
Wow.
know." And the long and short of it is that the place where she used to work, I get in touch with the person in charge of the company, and as a church and the company, we took on that family. And this
Mm.
was the I moment, where we used to give support to that family until when I leave Mall Road. So and those young boys grew up to be big men now.
Hmm.
But that
Hmm.
was a low moment for me.
Wow.
The
Wow.
I moment for me in pastoral ministry, anytime I stand in the lectern and I minister the word of God, and one person surrenders his or her heart to the Lord, that is a high moment for me. You can't put a price tag to that, you know. And so basically, my in terms of my eyes in God is just to see people grow strong and watch some of those persons who you baptize, you mentor, become leaders, before you reach a stage that you can't hear or you can't
Amen.
see,
Amen.
So, those are some of the eye moments for me. And I will never forget 1997. It was a watershed moment for me,
Wow.
you know. And it was after then that I began to get radical in the spirit, to the point where we make declarations. I
Okay.
share something with you. When we were doing the office at Mall Road, I remember I was dropping my daughter at school, and one of the guys called me and said, Pastor, you have to come now, because gunmen said them stop the work. So I drove up and I came out my vehicle, but the guy,
Gunmen come by and stop the work at the church.
yes, man, took the shovel from one of the guys, man, put on, blew on them, you know.
Wow.
Yes, and I drove in the churchyard and I asked what is happening, and they came and they said, this is it. So the guy asked me who I am. I said, who are you? And he said, boy, I'm just a come from hell. So I said, the only way me can help you unless you want Jesus. He said, no want that. He said, no work can go on around here, so and them don't know about it and I get their cut. So I said, brethren, you know, for your sake, leave the compound. Him look for me and pull up him waist and show me him 30. I say, friend, my fire bigger than that. And before you reach that, me take that from you. And look at me and. But I stood up to those guys, two of them,
Wow.
two of them. And I said, well, I'm not going to live long enough, not going to live long. And within a week or two, police killed both of them down Olympic Way.
Wow.
You know, I didn't want that to. I didn't intend for that to happen, but because of how they did it, because they just come from prison, want to make a name for themselves, and decide that they will hot up Mall Road, and
Mhm.
Mall Road was having a time of quiet and peace. Because the church we really, really prayed for that. And people used to come out and to service. I mean, Mall Road was going leaps and bounds every year. We had at least 40 members to Mall Road from
Wow.
1997 to 2003 when I lived there.
Wow.
Honestly, Mall Road was the fastest growing church in Kingston and St. Andrew at the time. And it was in a volatile community.
Mhm.
So
I know, I know,
those
I
were
know,
some.
I know around them neighborhoods, man. I know around them
Oh,
neighborhoods.
yes. Oh, yes.
Whew.
Oh, yes.
I rode into a gun battle one morning coming from St. Thomas. I rode my bike into a gun battle, and
Yeah.
I had no clue what, because and here was the danger. Not to cut off the argument.
Yeah.
I rode from down that side,
Hmm.
riding to find the mechanic, and riding from one side into the other
Into.
side,
Yeah.
and had on a bike.
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest threat if you're on a bike.
Yeah.
That I consider God just saved me,
Yeah.
because the
Definitely.
mechanic told me, like, this is a dangerous
De-
time. This is conflict. Them shooting from down that side, like them doing cowboy movies.
yeah.
And I'm riding from there up to here. I was supposed to be shot riding from one side to the next, but
Yeah.
thank
In
God. So
those
I know those neighborhoods, man.
yeah, man, in those days one street can't go across the other street.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm.
Exactly.
But the
Wow.
church the church break that wall of division.
Thank God for
We
that.
walk the street, we walk the street and we pray, do prayer walks and reason with the guys. Out of that, we form a netball team and a six-a-side football team. And I would invite the guys to men's meeting in those days. And on Saturday, we played dominoes and boiled soup. Robert Gibson was the chef at that time. Boiled
and
soup.
and he's still boiling soup and and,
Oh
and, and
yes.
jerking chicken even now.
Oh yes, yes, man, yes. So that sort of break the divide. That
Uh-huh.
even the counselor for that division was saying that I make his work lighter because the things that I do, right, he would have to do it. But the church came in and did that. So it was Mall Road was a moment of transition for me to maybe go on to bigger things. Maybe I'm not too
Well,
sure.
listen, there's no maybe about it, because it happened.
Oh,
It,
it did.
it- it's not
It
it's
did.
not imagination now. It's what happened. So
It did.
wow, wow. I'm talking
Yeah.
to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, National Bishop, National Overseer of Jamaica, and I am just so proud of him because we grew up as young men together before we talk about anybody even imagine about getting married. We were just young men who loved the
Oh yes.
Lord. I want to talk about no wife and children. That was not even part of what your thinking was.
No, sir,
And
not at all. Not at all. But it
becoming
just happened, eh?
becoming pastors and all of that. We never had conversation like that. As a matter of fact, we were so zealous and so connected to spirituality that we thought Jesus would have come when we were
A
young
long
boys.
time ago.
We
Oh,
thought he would come when we were young men. It's like, I'm
oh
telling people,
yes.
like, we literally walk and sing songs and look in the eastern sky because we think that, we're going home from church one night, the Lord might just come to the
It's
cloud,
gonna happen.
and all we want was to be ready if he burst through the cloud. That was the mentality as we grew up. So nobody
Yes.
nobody thought of becoming ministers, bishop,
No.
overseer, pastor, and all of that kind of
No.
stuff. Never, never, never. All right. So now we come to the big one. What do you find as the biggest challenge when you get into becoming the national bishop of the Church of God of Prophecy in Jamaica, and the adjacent islands or whatever, or you want to put what you saw as the biggest challenge when you took up that responsibility?
Well, it's after a number of years you realize that there are challenges because you get the appointment, so you're trying to understand your role and responsibility. You're trying to move around the nation to meet with the different leadership and all of that. So you're trying to learn the job, try to learn the job and do your best. But when I get more involved, then you realize that, man, you have ministers that are disobedient, rebellious. And I have to say, God, I need grace to deal. And these are men and women who are much older than I am.
Of
So
course, of
you have to
course.
be careful how you speak to them, even though you
Uh-huh.
have to be firm. But the Lord has helped me over the years, to use the whole matter of wisdom and just God's grace and God's love in my heart for people to help them to understand that it's not me, is what the church says. I'm just trying to fulfill my role because then I am accountable to my supervisor, I'm accountable to
Exactly.
the international presbyter, the international assembly. So if I'm not fulfilling my role, ensuring that Jamaica is compliant, ensure that Jamaican ministers are reporting, the churches are reporting, then I can find myself in trouble I can find myself in trouble with the
Mm-hmm.
church. And
Mm-hmm.
I really don't really want to get myself in trouble. So therefore, I have to do what I have to do. But I remember that even growing up at Stony Hill, the lessons that I learned from Pastor Garner in being patient with us, being patient with people, has helped me also in this position to be patient with those whom I lead. And sometimes there is an understanding of people too, to
Mm-hmm.
try to understand why they do the things they do, why they don't do the things that they're supposed to do. And then you have to be like a mother, well, as a mother, a father to them, or a big brother. And so, honestly, the learning part has helped me now to be more graceful and to be more tolerant, while still being firm and make some decisions that you have to make some tough decisions where people are concerned. And you will find that you're getting people's bad book, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. But how has the transition, how was the transition of the church overall? Because we come from a long way, right? We come from a long way, and we were talking about when we were young Christians, the whole dynamics, everything was different from what it is now.
True,
People,
true,
people were
true.
harsh, they were intolerant, there were no flexibility, there were no counsel. There was nobody holding your hand and lifting you up. I mean, there were some mothers who pray for you. They pray
Hmm.
for you. But the moment that you fall into the wrong, then they just you become demonized,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How has the transition? How do you see the transition of the church from then to now, where we have what they call more leniency. I don't call it leniency. I call it more biblical approach, a more understanding of human nature, human frailty, and human need for help. How has that transition helped you now? Does it make ministry easier or it make it harder?
Over the years, the church in our time was more customs and tradition. Honestly, well, we spend a lot of time on doctrines and all of that, because we were drilled to know the
Mm-hmm.
doctrines of the church, the customs and the tradition. That was what guided the process. The firmness of those who lead, they lead with a strong hand. It helped to mold us. But the church has evolved over a number of years now, where those who, in terms of from the international level and national level, have realized that we have to move away from forms and customs and traditions.
And everything can be heavy handed.
Right. And you have to treat people now through the lens of Jesus. How would Jesus do this? The scriptures become very critical for us. And so, as I said, we have evolved. And I believe that is what is helping us. Even me right now, I would tell my local church that I pastor that sometimes these are the things that we grew up on, but no, look where we are today. We have evolved. And remember, part of our church, well, the covenant is that we walk in the light to the best of our knowledge and ability.
Mm-hmm.
So when knowledge come, when the Holy Spirit shed light on the word and knowledge come, we change. This church has been accredited by other denomination as one of the churches that is not afraid to say, yes, we have erred in interpretation and where
Mm-hmm.
doctrines is
Mm-hmm.
concerned, and have made amends. And so this is why I think that this church has withstood all the we call it, no, the things that was coming up against it. And because of that, I believe that, and how we treat leadership development, no, because that is one of our core values. We implore our people to learn from the scriptures, to go to school, Bible school, and so people have more knowledge of the scriptures and realize, that we are a Christocentric movement more than just a denomination hung up on customs and traditions of men.
I'm curious, and I agree with you 100%. I'm curious. I remember when BTI, when we moved from BTI, and when they wanted the leadership to come to BTI. I remember who was overseer, the pastor in one of the church in St. Catherine. I think it was Olaba Bay. I think the pastor said, when we asked where is the pastor, and the pastor didn't show up for the BTI, and
Mm.
and his reason was, what ain't going to tell me women to know. you know
Yes.
so I'm looking at that kind of mentality, the kind of attitude. I, I'm curious. Do you find do you find resistance? Do you find any resistance from pastoral level, leadership level, senior level of ministers who are not in line with the evolution of the church, even though, as you said, the teachings of the church or the advice members that we walk in the light to the best of our knowledge and ability, and as we and as truth unveil,
Mm-hmm.
as we discover truth,
Mm-hmm.
and I just say we credit ourselves credit ourselves for coming to some difficult points in the evolution of the church,
Mm-hmm.
because
True.
we were so far back, and we were so culturalized
Right.
that we weren't, our hermeneutical values were
Mm-hmm.
far from exegetical
True.
standard, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so we credit ourselves because we were man enough, if you say man enough, to say, you know what, we blow it.
Yeah.
We blow it, and we have to
Yeah.
make some adjustment. As painful as it is, we have to
Yes.
make this adjustment now, because if we don't make it now, it's gonna be worse later.
Definitely.
How do you see the reaction of the evolution to some people who are so bent in the tradition? Because here's the problem that some people have, because we thought that our interpretation, our doctrines were affirmed and given by the Holy Ghost,
Oh yes.
right? By the Holy Ghost.
Yes.
How now do we, when we have to transition from what we consider to be the Holy Ghost affirmed, and now we're coming with some biblical interpretation? How do you see that from your leadership level, national level, even now, because we're still transitioning, and are evolving?
Right.
How do you see that happening? What kind of resistance or acceptance? What's the percentage or the ratio? How you see it?
Well, truth be told, I can't give you a percentage, but
That
I
may be more.
know,
That may be too much to ask. So
yeah,
strike that
but
one.
there are resistance. There are still resistance, and I am praying that honestly, those who are still in leadership coming from that era
Mhm.
will understand that every generation has evolved educationally. And so, even in my time, um, when we were growing up as youngsters, you would have a one teacher, maybe a one nurse, being a member of the church,
Mhm.
if you can recall, you know. But
Right.
today we have evolved. Our grandchildren and our children are more educated than us, and these are the ones now who are going and learning about the church and are asking questions. And then those who sit down and still in the tradition and the customs are questioning their spirituality, you know, and their genuineness. But I am a firm believer, and I'm pushing for education, that our people, our leaders must be educated. Um, I personally believe that the only way that they're going to stay ahead of time, where this is the church is concerned, because the church has moved on and have become now a church that believes in what we call education, and
Mhm.
we still believe in the move of the Spirit. But
Mhm.
gone are the days when you pick up Psalm 23 and you just read that, and you know, you have to put things in context. You know, you have to bring out the historical part of the scripture, and you have people in your congregation who knows that, and the leader who is preaching it don't know it, you
Yeah.
know.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know. So basically, we are trying to use persuasion to get off, you know, some of these persons to understand that yes, you have to go back to school to learn. You know. Yeah.
How about, do you find a struggle? Do you find a struggle, being the overseer? Do you get complaints
A
from
lot.
people, you say, the brilliant people, the smart minds, the younger people, the more educated people, who are saying we are having problems at our local church because our leaders are not teaching biblical truth? They are sticking with culture and tradition. How do you get feedback like that, complaints like that, frequently, and how do you handle that without pinpointing anything?
Well, you wouldn't say frequently, but you get that. But one of the, I must say that I'm really thankful to the current generation of persons who are in our church. Brilliant, brilliant, and they decide that they're not going anywhere. They're sticking to it. They're second and third generation members of the church. You know, and they are committed, you know, to the church. They are committed to the Lord, but they are being frustrated. They are being frustrated, and you have to encourage them when they
Hmm.
come to you. And then from my level, you know, we speak with the parish, we call them parish administrative assistants now instead of parish overseers. You
Hmm.
have to speak with them and let them know that, you know, the complaint is coming from here. How can we address this? and all of that. We try to use, as I say, persuasion to help others, these leaders, to understand that your church is complaining. And there are some that are not loyal anymore. So the moment you're not feeding them with the word, they're going to go elsewhere. They'll go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful that some of them will move from one local church to another where they will get food and they will stay there. But there are others who just move on to other denomination.
Well, that is one good thing, and I'm sure some will move on for sure because it depends on that accessibility to some
Yeah,
places and whether something is good next door. Because
right.
if you're at bad and worse is next door, that's the danger of losing the brilliant minds.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and
yes.
and it is so sad that we lose people because we're not sticking to biblical truth. We are
Hmm.
sticking to culture, and these smart minds who are learning what Bible teach and are understanding interpretation of scriptures, we have to meet up to the standard of requirement, or else we're gonna lose them.
True, true, true.
I am talking to the national bishop, the national overseer of Jamaica. You still do Guyana, right?
No, no, just
No,
Jamaica.
only Jamaica.
Just
Okay,
Jamaica. Yeah,
okay, that,
since
that's that's that's
2012.
hard enough.
Yeah,
Man, I am so proud of you, man. I am so happy to talk to you. Oh my God, I am so happy to talk to you, my friends. I've been talking to Bishop Dr. Winston Leith, National Bishop, and my heart wanted to talk to you a long time ago
yeah.
because him becoming national overseer, I was in awe. I was in awe. I really was, and I'm still maybe in awe. Even though we talk about it, and get the process and the story, but I'm still in awe, and in awe in a good way. In a good way to see the young man that we grew up together, walking together, talking together, just tracking from church to church together, come up and reach this level of ministry.
Mm.
This is as high as it gets. Well, we can say it's the height because it's not the highest place, but that is as
No,
high as one can imagine. And if you weren't aspiring to get to where you are, I'm sure you're not aspiring to get no further than this.
no, 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 no. No, no, no. I said at forums that after my journey here, I would, if I'm going to retire, I want to retire as a pastor. And maybe because apart from being National Youth Director and National Men's Ministry Director, I spent over 30 years as a pastor. So even in this position, I'm still pastoring. I remember when there was a void in Comapen, St. Elizabeth, in 2014. I spent 7 months down there, and I used to go down every Sunday, and midweek for Bible study, and
Wow.
a journey. Yes, my wife and I would get up 4 o'clock and get ready and make our
Four
way.
o'clock.
Oh, yes. And people that were living next door to church were late. When they come and see the vehicle, they were in awe. But I spent 7 months in come up in St. Elizabeth, pastor in that church. And I thank God for that journey because it gives me a greater sense of appreciation of God's people. And I always say to persons that every church that we have a culture, a church culture, a community culture, and I learned that culture, and so honestly, I thank God for the journey. But I don't see myself. Well, this is me. I don't know what the Lord is doing, but you and I have some conversations, and I don't really want to go any further. If I'm when I leave 6 Phoenix Avenue, I said whoever become the national overseer, I just asked them to give me a church to pastor until when I can't pastor anymore.
But right now you are. So we never talk about Nago. You're a
Now go
Nago
ahead.
head, right? Right now you're
Yes.
passing. We're at Nago head.
Yes, since 2017, January 2017, I've been there.
That's a few years already under your belt.
All right, I tell you, 6 years. Yeah.
That's a few years already under your belt in Nagohead.
And believe you me,
I'm not gonna ask you anything about leaving Nagohead because I know some Nagohead people are watching. So I'm not gonna ask you about no Nagohead. I'm
no,
not.
but we joke all the time. I tell them that I came there for 4 months.
Oh,
I really went there when Novel migrated to Florida. So I went in January to find, and we should have found a pastor for April, but it was supposed to be. When I look at the local church, give credit to Bishop Wilson and his team. They fought and bought the property, they raised it up. But when I look at Nagoet, when I went there were no windows, there were no doors, and they have to pack up the chairs on a Sunday morning. If we come back Sunday night, they have to take out chairs. I says, no, I
wow.
couldn't send a pastor there. So God help us. We have put in all the windows, all the doors, and we are growing, and we give God thanks for that.
Good for
So
you.
I'm
Good for
in love
you.
now with pastoral. I am still in love with what I'm doing nationally, but I take pleasure in pastoring that local church.
Good for you. Good for you. I have never gone to Nagohead.
Well, when you
Um,
come back to Jamaica, you need to come and visit
I've
us.
never gone to Nagahead. When Neville, my friend, that's my other real good friend. That's our good friend when he was there. Never gonna. I saw when they, actually, I wasn't in Jamaica when the ministries like those started. I was already gone.
Mm.
Out of Jamaica. So, but I've never gotten a chance to go to places like those. One of these days, man, maybe one of these days, maybe I'll end up at some of these places I've never been before. But who knows? Ah, my goodness. You're not great. People start to scream already,
Really?
I see some people screaming out there. No, no, no way, no, 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 leaving. Now go ahead. Uh, we're not talking about leaving. We're just, we're just, we sing the song. We sang the song. Count the days as weeks, count the weeks as months, and count the months as years.
Yes,
Right. So,
yes.
so you were there for 4 months. You thought 4 months and
That,
we gone
that
more. You
was the
gone
intent. That
6 years.
was the
That
intention
was
to
the
be there
intent. Now
for
we
four
gone to
months.
6 years, 5 years, 6 years.
6 years.
I am not going to ask him about how many more he thinks left me. I'm not going to ask him that. I'm going to leave that. So you don't have to worry now. Go ahead. Your pastor is going to be around. We're not discussing any departure. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
Lord.
I watched the convention. I watched some of the convention, the last convention. I thought you had I listened to your what do you call it, the overseer's address,
Yes,
the national bishop address.
yes.
I got into some of the challenges as you challenge the ministry and stuff like that. How do how has the progress been? How was the progression or the climbing? How you say the assessment is say, we are climbing, we are progressing, we are planting churches or membership growing. How would you say from an assessment standpoint, how things look to you?
Well, I can tell you this that we have grown in terms of my leadership, and I'm not taking any credit. As I said, I have a team, but I think that we have grown as a church. We are now the second largest Pentecostal movement in Jamaica.
The New
Um,
Testament still tapping us out, right?
Yeah, yeah, we are the second largest. I've seen that we have grown, we have planted new churches. But one of the problems we face as a church, as a denomination, is the whole matter of migration. North America, Europe, and the Caribbean is eating up a lot of our members.
Yeah.
And in recent times, it's not just like a one member is going now. You have families of 4 and 6 that is leaving at any time. I spoke to a pastor sometime last year, and it's 10 members of a family that migrated to
Whoa.
North America one time, and it's the strongest members,
Wow.
yes. So we fluctuate in numbers, Orville, but I think that we have grown as a church numerically. We have grown where the numbers of the church is concerned, yes. But we have lost one or two of our congregations. These things do happen.
Hmm.
But my intention is that by the time I should leave, would cross over. We went up to 303, and we lose two, and we merge one, and we had was to we looking now to maybe what do you call it? I forget the term that we call it, but we have to close one. It's not growing; it's a dying community. So
Hmm.
basically, I want to move it up back to over 300, and I told myself, because I came with a vision to, in my tenure, that the church would, the organization would have at least 325 churches by 2025. I don't know if the Lord is going to do that. No, but when I came in 2010, that was a vision.
Hmm.
And that would actually move from a membership. And we have done over 35,000 no covenanted members.
Good.
Covenanted members. We're not talking about adherents, people who come to church and have not made any
Right, right,
decision.
right.
But we have gone over 35,000. But I said the number fluctuate when you evaluate the numbers. Every convention, you realize that we have a down, we have a up, we have
It always happen
yeah,
because people
yeah,
people are transitioning,
yes,
so that has, as a matter of fact, our local church, we've had a lot of people migrating to different states,
states,
moving to
right, right,
states and stuff like
right,
that, and
right,
and, and that has a toll.
yeah,
That has a toll on your functionality, because as you say, sometimes that's some of the most dependable, the most committed people, the most faithful sometimes,
yeah,
but you have
yeah,
to learn how to survive, because sometimes people die,
mm,
and you still got to figure out how to keep going and not become paralyzed by the loss of a loved one. So
right,
in the
right.
same way, you're gonna figure it out. But man, I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you and Sister Heidi and the rest of the family and the church in Jamaica. I'm bigging you up and giving a loud shout out to you. I'm proud of you, my friend.
Thank you, man.
One of these days, man. One of
Yes,
these
sir.
days, we must sit down somewhere side by side and say, man, we're not gonna talk online. We're gonna talk locally.
Definitely, definitely. I'm trusting the Lord that that time will happen very soon.
I hope so, man. I hope so. And anything that you want to share with me that I didn't ask, that I say, hey, I thought you would have asked that.
No, not really, because we came here talking about the journey, and and I really get caught up in the journey, reminiscing.
I know,
Um,
man. That's the whole idea. This is
yeah,
what's your
definitely.
story, what's your journey, how is
Yeah,
it unfolding? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And,
I'm
and,
proud of
and,
you.
and I'm humbled by the experiences that I've gained over these years since I started with the Lord. Honestly, I had one regret. I said that when I lost my mother in 1990.
Mm,
Yeah, and the truth is that I would have loved that she was around to see me in this position. My father got the opportunity,
mm,
but my mother didn't, and we had a relationship like a big sister and a big brother, because most people thought, a matter of fact, in the hospital where she was at the time, they thought that I was her husband. I said, "You're crazy."
did she
yeah,
have you
but
very she had you when you were very young?
young. She was 18 years of age
Oh,
when she gave
wow.
birth to me. So we grew up together, and the struggles, and in terms of me, I've been successful in ministry. I would have loved that she would be around to get some of the spoils or the benefits,
Mm-hmm,
but the
mm-hmm,
Lord knows
mm-hmm.
best. I try to do everything that she has taught me from a tender age, to love people, to not to be greedy, not to be busy in people's business, but just keep my face in my own space, and live my life to God's glory. Because she was a committed Christian also.
Good for her.
So basically, she grows up in the fear of the Lord. One of the things that I remember back then, before I came to Stony Hill, that when we used to go to church, we used to sit, um, like the younger one would sit beside mommy. So I would sit at the end of the bench because I'm the eldest.
Hmm.
So from the smallest to the eldest. So everybody know our bench at church. Nobody sitting that because when mommy come to,
Wow.
yeah. So and the pastor then used to call me John the Baptist.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I'm the forerunner. I didn't even understand what he was saying because I used to go over, fix the kneeling pads, ensure that certain things are in place and all of that. And he used to call me John the Baptist, and I guess maybe he saw
So
something
from
too.
the early days, man,
Oh yes,
the
oh
signs
yes.
were there only because you didn't realize. I mean, again, I said it to a lot of my guests, and I don't say it to everybody, but there are moments when it pops up in my mind. And this is a line that something that I developed myself. This is my personal quote. One of these days, God will unveil to you the mystery of your history.
Oh yes, oh
One of these
yes.
days, He'll unveil to you the mystery of your history, because right now, as your journey, a lot of the pieces don't make sense.
True, true.
But it's only when you can look back and you
Right.
can put this piece of the puzzle and that piece and that piece and that piece, and you said, oh my God, that's what God was doing through all of this time. And now look at it.
You can see that God had the puzzle well lined up that you didn't see because you couldn't see the pieces as they
Exactly.
unfold. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. But
yeah.
when you finish your journey and you can look back, you can draw all the pieces and say, wow,
Oh
this is what
yes,
God was doing.
oh
God is
yes,
amazing.
oh
God
yes,
is
oh
amazing.
yes, oh yes. I
God
thank
is
God
amazing.
for that journey, for this journey.
I love you, man. I appreciate you, man.
Love you, man.
Give a shout out to Minister Heidi for me. She got to be
Yes,
listening somewhere one of these days, man. One of
and
these
tell
days.
my girl that it's a long time I've not seen her.
I know. I saw her pop up a while ago somewhere, so she's somewhere maybe listening. But she maybe
Okay, okay.
she dropped
Give
she
her my
dropped
love
something.
and blessing, man.
She dropped something in there a while ago at a time when we thought that were the only church. We had the mentality, boy, we're coming from so
Ma-
far. And again, I'm gonna wrap it up, but
yeah.
I remember when we thought we read the scriptures, man. We read the scriptures out of context. We read the
Oh
scripture
yes.
out of context. We talk about, other sheep I have which not have this fold them also I will bring, and we come up with this arise shine thing and all these this stuff, and we interpret scripture, and we just think like everybody gonna come to us because we are the one church, because we're found on the fields of the wood and all this stuff that we come up with. A lot of mercy, but we've come a long way. We have come a long way. We have come a long way.
While that have its merit,
Yes.
because you know it's the origin where our founding fathers got the revelation and all of that.
Hmm.
And we have, as Marcus Garvey says, that if a man don't know his past history is like a tree without roots.
Hmm.
So basically, but then again, how we interpret it and how we bring it across, it make it seems as if we, as I said, we are the only church,
Right.
but we don't sing the great speckled bird anymore. You know that.
I know. I know. Yeah, I know. Lord help us.
But back in the 70s, you couldn't have a third Sunday and a right shine. I
You
don't sing
couldn't, man. You
speckled bird.
couldn't. She's spreading her wing for her journey.
Oh
She's
my
going to take
God!
by and by whatever when she meet her dear Lord in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, yes,
I am
man.
so glad I have with her
Oh,
teaching and all that, all this
yeah,
stuff. But oh boy, again, back then we were excited. We bought into it. We believed it. We've grown to know that there is more to it than that. And
true, true, true.
thank God we're able to synchronize
Definitely, definitely,
those, and to add biblical truth to what was our culture, and then what we need to drop, we drop it, and what we need to
definitely.
we need to embrace, we embrace it. The
Yes.
process. So, man, God bless you, man.
God bless you, man. God
I'm
bless you.
talking to Dr. Bishop of Jamaica. I am so proud of the brother. I'm so proud of the brother. I'm gonna take one more little break, and then we just give me a goodbye after we come back, right? So I'm gonna take
Sure, no
a minute.
problem, Orville.
My friends, if you didn't hear yet, you can still share. And if you're just starting to listen us, once we close, you can go back and listen the whole thing and share it with your friend, because this has been a fascinating conversation with my friend Bishop Leith. All right, I come back and I'm gonna say goodbye. But hang in there, my friends.
No problem, my brother.
you people in Jamaica love you, man. They love you out in Jamaica, man. They love you, my tell. I can tell you, boy. They love you out there, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. The amount of ownership they're showing up here, they're
Oh
showing,
my gosh.
they're showing ownership, man. And I'm just talking to him. Okay, I'm not taking him away from anybody. I'm just talking to my friend. All right, what's your last word? What's your last word you would pass on to anybody? Anything you'd like to say? I'm gonna give you the last word, my brother.
Well, honestly, for me, I would love that those who have come to faith in Christ remain with Him. We are actually in the last days, and I remember those days when, as you said, that we thought that the Lord would have returned already in as a teenager.
Right.
But what we are seeing today is we are heading to that crescendo where we know is very near. And so I want to encourage folks that are not saved also. What I do, I have a mantra since I become national overseer that each one bring one, each one win one. If we could, help people to understand that I have a God-given responsibility to help my brother who is not a Christian or my sister who is not a Christian to lead them to the Lord. I'm not talking about denomination. I'm just talking about lead them to the Lord. I,
Hmm.
I, I think that would have evolved as a church, and I still believe that that can happen. And so I want to encourage my brothers and sisters who are outside, who are in the church, to remain with the Lord. And those who are outside, I want to give you this personal invitation that I have been journeying with the Lord since 1972, and I have no regrets. I still have that little gap, but apart from that, I have no regrets of surrendering or recommitting my life to the Lord. Orville, I see as a pastor that I send my two children through university without borrowing a cent. So it must have been God. It
Hmm.
must have been God. And the Lord told me that if I take care of His business, He will take care of mine. And so I'm a firm believer in giving all of me to God by serving His people. And
Amen.
that's what I do. So I leave this with my friends, stay with the Lord. And those who are not yet Christians, I invite you to come, taste, see what we are enjoying, and be a part of this wonderful fellowship. And I will continue to serve in this position, my brother, until my time is up, and then I move on to the other phase of just being a full-time pastor,
Wow.
full-time pastor.
You still thinking about full time pass, and
Oh yes.
I'm thinking about full time free man.
well, you can write, and you can do other things. But honestly, I said this to you before the second break, that nothing is more rewarding to me that when you preach a message, one person gets saved, one person
Amen.
surrender.
Amen. Amen.
You lay your hands on an individual and pray for them, and there's a transformative power that takes place. And so for me, until I can't do anymore, that's what I really want to do.
And I wanted, when you did say that, I wanted to add something to it, that people often want to see miracle.
Oh yes,
People all
oh
want to
yes,
see miracle,
oh
but I
yes.
think one of the greatest miracles, we minimize it and we don't even classify it as miracle, for a sinner to become a Christian.
Amen.
That's one of the
Amen.
greatest miracles that
Amen.
ever happened.
Amen.
All the wheelchair, with somebody said, people throwing wheelchair and all them kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Nothing compares to one's life being completely revolutionized by the shed blood of Jesus Christ, only by the act of faith.
Amen.
That is the
Amen.
greatest miracle that happened. Jesus told Nicodemus, the wind blow where it lists, you hear the
Mm-hmm.
sound, and you know where it comes from, now where it goes.
Right.
So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. If
Amen.
you're going to talk about miracle, talk about the miracle that
Salvation.
brought salvation into your
Salvation.
soul, and you don't know where it come from. Jesus said, you didn't choose me, I chose you, and look at you. You're redeemed, your life is changed. Paul said, and such were some of you, but you're washed, and you don't know when it happened, but all of a sudden you find not only instantaneous sanctification but continuous sanctification. Come on, man.
Amen.
That's miracle at its best.
Yes, man. You know, administration is good, but as I said, the whole matter of transformation of a person's life is the greatest joy that I have. You
Amen.
know, greatest.
I join with you. I join with you.
Yeah. Yes.
My friends, thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking with us tonight. I am so happy to talk to my brother, Bishop, Overseer, National Bishop, whatever they want to call him.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna adapt into this new thing now, but I'm just I am just happy to talk with my brother. And thank you everyone for joining me. If you're not following me on Facebook or you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel or follow me on TikTok. And I know some young people here. I am on TikTok too. ORB
Okay.
Ministries is on TikTok. So go check out ORB Ministries on TikTok. We're using up all of the platforms that God made available.
Amen.
YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Listen, we're gonna utilize them because if we can find one somebody through TikTok or two people through this one, we're gonna use all of them for the glory of God. Thank you, my friends, for joining. Link up because you don't know what's gonna happen and who next is gonna be in the conversation. And by the way, if you have a good story, if you have a good story that can inspire somebody, email me at orbminister@gmail.com. Maybe we could talk to you next time. You never know.
Amen.
All right, Bishop, take care of
Blessings.
yourself, man, and stay right there because I'm gonna talk to you when we get off to say
Yes.
goodbye when we get off. But until next time, my friends, I will see you on the other Let's Talk with the Doc. Well, thank you for checking in on ORB Ministries. I trust that you will share with your friends, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and stay tuned because you never know what's next or who will join the conversation.